Hello everyone, welcome to what will be the probably first of many episodes of the, character building videos of looking at different types of TTRPGs and seeing, what might be kind of different or interesting between all of them. And with the release of Kobold Press's Black Flag first playtest packet, I thought, why not take a look at, what this playtest packet has to offer? And, make some characters out of it. Since it's based in 5e and I have the 5e environment right here, I thought, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So, to make things a little different and interesting, I thought we might start by building a dwarf, and then using the Elf Heritage, and use those options to build a dwarf with, since we can pick whatever heritage we want. And then next we would build an elf, and have that elf raised in human heritages or human society. And then finally, we would build a human and have them raised in the dwarf heritages or dwarf society. So we could kind of mix and match these to see what it might look like to have each of these used and kind of intermixed, instead of just having a dwarf with dwarf society and an elf society and so on, and kind of see where we can go with these. And then on top of that, we will go ahead and pick out a background. Sadly, we only have 2 backgrounds, but for the time being, we'll double up on one and then decide where to go from there. And then after that, we'll go ahead and pick out some talents and then finish off our characters. Now, each of our characters is going to get a talent from a different area. So we'll have one character with soldier talents or martial talents. Then we'll also have another character with magic talents, and the last character will have the technical talents. So let's go ahead and jump into this and take a look first at our dwarf being raised in the Elf Society or Heritage. Let's go ahead and click our character tab here to bring up our actors and create ourselves a new actor using the Dwarf Lineage and then the Elf Heritage, and go from there. We don't have any way of importing anything. We're going to create a new character, and for the time being, our dwarf is just going to be Dwarf Black Flag. That's going to be our character's name. Nothing too special there. And we're using a character type. We're not going to worry about putting it into a folder, and we'll just go ahead and create a new character. So we have ourselves here a really nice character for our Black Flag environment. Now, since we have a couple different options here of picking stats and whatnot, I figured each of our characters will use one of the different types. So for that, we will go ahead and do the rolling for our dwarf. For our elf, we will end up using the point buy system. And then for the human, we'll just do the standard array and go from there. So we have one of each character using every type of option here in the Black Flag system, as it stands for Playtest Packet 1 anyways. So with that, we need to go ahead and roll some stats. So we need to do, unfortunately, not 7 46s. We need to do just the standard 6 46s, drop the lowest one, or keep the highest. So what we'll do here is we'll just come down here and write our little script of roll 4d6, drop L, which means drop the lowest one. And we will do this 6 times. So our first score for our dwarf here is going to be an 11. And as we see here, when we click and expand, we rolled a 4, a 3, a 1, and a 4, and the grayed out 1 is dropped for a total of 11. All right, so that is our first score. We have an 11 here. Then the next one will be, let's see, what do we get for this one? And a 9, not looking so hot so far for our dwarf raised in Elf Society, or with the Elf Heritage. Number 3, we have, a 14, that's getting better. And our 4th skill will be, let's see here, a 12. Okay, pretty average numbers so far across the board. And our 5th is going to be another 12. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. And then finally, we have an 11. So our total scores are 11, 9, 14, 12, 12, and 11. Not great, but also not terrible. It looks like whatever we take our +2 into will be a 16. And then we can raise something, either probably drop the 1 into the 9 there to get that negative out of the way, or we can take one of our 11s to 12 and get ourselves a +1 bonus. We will come back to the stats here in a moment, because I don't quite know where I want to go with our dwarf. And let's go ahead and start adding in all of our little extras here from being a dwarf. Okay, so for our dwarf, we start with our age, Then our size, which we will be medium. Our speed is going to be 25 feet, so we'll go ahead and change that to 25 since we're going to be a dwarf. And then we will also have night vision, so we will just go ahead and switch that over. And we get 60 feet of dark vision here. So we'll go ahead and update that. So our dwarf has 60 feet of dark vision, or night vision as it stands. And then we also have Dwarven Resilience, so we have advantage on saves against becoming poisoned, and you are resistant to poison damage. We'll just do damage resistances for now. We'll just go ahead and put poisoned in. So where are you hiding? Right underneath the mouse. Okay, now we're in the Elf Heritage options, and at the moment we have Cloud Heritage and Grove Heritage. But if we're going to make this dwarf more of a martial, we would probably want to go with Grove Heritage. With that, we have Beast Affinity, Canopy Walker, and Elf Weapon Trainings. So the question is, which one are we going to take? And I'm going to leave it to fate here. So we'll go and do like a coin toss of, are we going to take Cloud Heritage or Grove Heritage? So let's go ahead and roll ourselves a 1d2, a coin flip, to see 1 or heads, we'll go with Cloud Heritage, and 2 or tails, we'll go with the Grove Heritage. So we're going to go ahead and roll 1d2 and see where it lands. And we got a 2, so we're going with the Grove Heritage here. All right, so now that we have our Grove Heritage out of the way, we need to finish up a couple things here. So we also have Beast Affinity. Using gestures and sounds, we can communicate simple ideas with beasts, and you have advantage on checks made to interact with non-hostile beasts. That's kind of cool. We can put that technically in our languages, so we'll just put in a special one for Beast Affinity here, so we don't forget about that. And then on top of that, we'll skip past the Elf Weapon Training and the Canopy Walker for the moment, because we're already in languages here. So we also know Common and 1 additional language of your choice. Typically, creatures of this heritage choose Elvish. So if we were saying our dwarf was raised in Elf society, then we will go ahead and just say, where's Common hiding? We'll get Common, and we'll put in Elvish. Okay, so in our Features tab, we're going to have a couple little nice things to add in here. We might as well go ahead and add in a passive ability here. So we will call this one, yes, the Beast Affinity. And we'll simply just kind of copy and paste. In any event, there we go. So now we have Beast Affinity as a passive ability. On top of that, we have Canopy Walker. You have a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, so we can climb 25 feet as well. And then we will come back over to our attributes here. So we'll go ahead and say we now have a climb speed of 25 feet as well. Up next, we have Elf Weapon Training. And this is also a passive ability. So we'll go ahead and copy this text. We'll add this into the game. And now we have short swords, short bows, and long bows. Go ahead and save that. And then we will come back over here to our attributes. And in our weapon proficiencies, we will go ahead and say we have long sword, long bow, short sword, and short bow. Perfect. So we have our elf weapon trainings out of the way. Okay, so that is all the information for being a dwarf and also being of the Grove Heritage. All right, next is picking a background. Our dwarf here is looking more like a martial type. We will probably go with the soldier background. So because of this, we'll just go ahead and put in soldier for the time being. And then we have skill proficiencies. 2 skills of your choice from the following: animal handling, athletics, medicine, and survival. Well, it would make sense that since we are of the Grove Heritage, we will probably have animal handling. For being a soldier and of the Grove Heritage, I'm going to go with animal handling. And then athletics for being up in the Grove because we're canopy walkers. So we're going to go ahead and pick athletics for our dwarf of the Grove Heritage. Then we have additional proficiencies. Gain proficiencies with land or water vehicles and 1 tool of your choice. We're Grove walkers, Grove Heritage here. I'm going to say land vehicles would probably be a good choice. We'll go ahead and pick land vehicles, which we will be good for, and then 1 tool of our choice. Probably woodcarver's tools. There's a whole bunch. Carpenter's tools would also make sense living up in the trees. For the time being, I'm just going to say woodcarver's tools. Why not? And then lastly, we get a whole bunch of equipment. Come to our inventory here. We're going to drag and drop the mess kit in. So we have our mess kit, playing cards. Cool. So we can drag and drop playing cards in. Excellent. Common clothes. And then we also get a pouch containing 10 gold pieces. So let's see. Do we have a pouch? Throw the pouch in. And we have 10 gold pieces to start with. Now, a talent. As a soldier, you have received special training or honed natural capabilities that have kept you safe during your services. Choose a talent from the following list to represent this experience. armor training, combat training, or combat conditioning. So let's go ahead and take a look at these 3 possible talents we can choose from. Okay, so we have armor training. You have trained to master the use of armor. You gain proficiency with light armor. If you are already proficient with light armor, then you can, upgrade and so on until you get to heavy armor. You can select this talent multiple times. Well, we could next pick armor combatant, proficiency with heavy armor. Well, we can't really pick that, but we do have combat conditioning. Out of all of these, I kind of like this one the most because our maximum hit point increases by 2 for each level you currently have. Whenever you gain a level, include the level at which you gain this talent if applicable. Your new hit dice is 1 size larger than your class typically grants. Personally, I like this one the most out of all 3, and this is going to also be a passive ability. And there we go. We have combat conditioning. Unfortunately, we don't know precisely what our class is going to be, so this is going to be something we will check into after the fact. And then we have our adventuring motivation. So let's let fate decide what our adventuring motivation will be. And it looks like we have 3. All right, so adventuring is a way to keep protecting others since those I used to protect are now gone. So we'll go ahead and throw this into the biography. And we'll just put this here for the personality traits since we don't really have any other way of, keeping track of this. So this is our motivation. But lastly, since we're kind of going the soldier route here and kind of going with more of a martial class, let's go ahead and finish off by putting in our skill points here. Obviously, we're going to probably want our 14 to be in our one of 2 highest points. And on top of that, we can also add in a +2 and a +1. So we could either, get ourselves 2 14s or get a 16 and, maybe a couple 12s. Honestly, I think because of how average our character here is, I'm going to go ahead and take one of these 12s and turn it into a 14. So we're going to do 12 initially for strength, but we're going to turn that into a 14. Then we'll also take the other 14 and put that into constitution. So that's our +2 bonus that we can get from rolling dice. Then we still have a +1. So we have a 9 and, more than likely, so we'll go ahead and put charisma as our dump stat for a -1 there. And then we have, what do we got here? 2 11s and 1 12 left. So we're going to put our +1 into one of these 12s. So we have 2 12s and an 11 left. Well, we'll definitely go ahead and use the 12 for dexterity. And then from there, we will say martial class definitely should be more wise than intelligent because of, being on the battlefield and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and say our wisdom is going to be a 12 and our intelligence is an 11. So there we have it. We have ourselves a dwarf from the Black Flag playtest packet that has worked out everything. We have ourselves our lineage. We have ourselves our heritage, being the grove. We have our background, being a soldier. And we also have ourselves a talent of combat conditioning. So that's it. That's where we're going to end it here for our first of 3 Black Flag playtest characters. So thank you very much for watching it. I hope you enjoyed this. There'll be more of this to come. If you want to see more characters from other TTRPGs, leave me a comment below what you liked about this, what we could have changed. So thanks so much for watching this. And as always, this is me, Andrew, for the D&D CR Exposed YouTube channel asking, are your encounters even rated? Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.